We're going to start with something that I'm not ready to say that the two people on UCSS that their last names start with L are taking an L on a topic. However, our Evan Mobley needs to be their best player, and this is the year he takes that massive jump. Is not off to a great start in 19 games. And earlier in the week, I did a whole post on how I think Evan split between two different roles. He was kind of the focal point and force fed into the offense early. He's been taking a step back in the last 11 games. He just, to me, looks like he's lacking some confidence, and he's a guy that certainly needs confidence to be at his very best. Jason, before I dive into my diatribe on my frustrations with Evan Mobley early on in this 2025-2026 season, what have you made of the start to the year for the reigning DPOY and second-team All-NBA forward?
Well, first of all, you know how much I hate being wrong about anything. So I'm going to make sure that the record is clear on this. Because this got misconstrued before on the show. You and I thought prior to last year, Evan had another gear to his game. We were pretty adamant about that, and we were shouted down.
We were right.
We were right. The point that I made after last season was if the Cavs are going to win a championship, Evan has to be the one that takes them there. He has to find yet another gear. I don't recall ever saying he has another gear to get to, but for the Cavs to win, he has to get one. Does that make sense? So he made the leap last year, and he turned into a terrific player. My whole stance since the end of last season has been, guys, you know where this goes with undersized guards. We have plenty of experience on this. If they're ever going to win a championship, it can't be with Donovan. It has to be with Evan. Now, if he doesn't have another gear, then he doesn't have another gear, and he's still a really good NBA player. And that's the disappointing thing. Like, I think the criticisms of Evan to this point are fair, but I also think that we need to look at it and go, hey, this is still a top
19-8 All-NBA defensive level player. That's a career year and an incredible get for most guys. The issue with Mobley is, Jason, I think he has so much more inside him to bring out and be even better. And you see it in flashes, but it's the inconsistency that's maddening.
I don't know if it's confidence or if it's just a lack of aggression. I was going back and watching the Toronto game, and the way he got pushed off his spot and the way he got pushed around by Scotty Barnes, that can't happen. Like, Scotty Barnes cannot outmuscle Evan to rebounds. And I think there's two things to this. The idea that the one possession where they double Evan and they pick his pocket and Evan is sprawled out at midcourt, laying flat on his face, and the Raptors get an easy bucket at the other end. Okay, well, maybe that's what we're talking about here. You're trying to see what his ceiling is and if he is capable of doing other things. And these are things he hasn't shown before that you're trying to get to. That's one thing. But when you're getting pushed around underneath and you're getting outplayed at things that we know you are elite at, that's where I'm like, what is going on? And so that's maybe you're right. Maybe it's a confidence thing. I see it as just a lack of aggression and just being too passive at times. And you can't take 7 shots in a game ever. No. Unless you leave in the first quarter with a hamstring, you can't have 7 shots in a game. I think Naquan had outshot him. I think Naquan Tomlin had more shots.
Naquan had 8, Proctor had 9, Lonzo had 15, Donovan had 20. He had the 6th most field goal attempts on the Cavs.
This can't happen.
Darius, no DeAndre, and no Jared. It's unacceptable. And Jason, of those 7, only 1 came in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and I remember having the conversation last year during the playoffs about, hey, Ty Jerome can't be getting more shots than Evan, and just a couple guys around the locker room like, yeah, I know, we got to fix this. We have to address this. Ty had that dog in him that I'm the best player on the court, whether you think so or not. And Evan needs some of that Ty FU attitude that Ty had when he was here. And Evan just doesn't possess it. And again, we've seen him take such leaps over the last 18 months that I don't want to just crap all over him, because he's done a tremendous job of elevating his level to the game where you and I thought he could get to, and he got there. Is there another gear there? Maybe this is the Myles Garrett conversation that we had, right? You just think that there's more in there, and maybe eventually he'll get to it. But for what Evan is giving them, if this is all he has, that's a really, really good NBA player. Is it a franchise pillar top 5 player in the game? No, it's not. So I don't know where you go from here. If they don't win it this year, I don't know. They're going to have to make changes to this if they don't win it this year. Period. Like they just, because of where they're at with the apron, I've come around on that. I've kind of done a 180. I thought they could run this back one more time, and I just don't think that's the case. They're going to have to make changes. So Evan, if this is what he is, that's a great player. I'm just not sure it's enough to win.
If Dean Wade scores 18 and grabs 8 boards in a game, we're like, that's an incredible game for Dean Wade.
Right.
We want more from Evan Mobley because we think he's better. And these conversations, I know they come off as us ripping Evan, and we are, and he deserves it for how he's played for the first 19 games. You don't rip players, so you don't expect more from. Yeah. The reason we want more from Evan is because we've seen at times Evan do things that he doesn't do consistently, that he hasn't been doing consistently this year.
It just feels like a missed opportunity because with Darius missing as much time as he has being in and out of the lineup, this is the moment for Evan to grab hold of this. And they've tried to force feed it. It just hasn't worked. I've been of the stance, keep doing it. You have no other choice if you want to win a championship.
That's what I want to get to, Jason. I don't know what the right answer to the next part I'm going to say is. I do not know what the right answer is. But right now, the flip-flopping and the back and forth between, Evan, you can be the focal point. You know, we're taking that away from you, Evan. We want to put you in places that you're more efficient. I feel like the Cavs have to just pick a lane, and at least for the first 40 games, the next 20, just pick one or the other. If you want to see if Evan has more ball handling skills, more creation ability, more focal point of the offense, initiator type stuff to his game, then live with the results over the next 20 games and let him work through the growing pains and the lumps of it. Because we're never going to know if he doesn't get ample opportunities to do it. And it may be ugly, right? Like it could be ugly.
Yep.
But I'll use your son as an example, Jason, because I've already used 7 basketball references in the second part of this show that you guys haven't listened to yet, but I recorded earlier. When you learn a new pass rush move, you know how you get better at doing it? Doing it in games. And you can practice against the practice dummy that doesn't move 1,000 times. And guess what? You go against the real offensive lineman, you're going to find out if it works or it doesn't work. And then you can tweak it on the fly as you continue to get those live game reps with it. There's only so much you can do in practice that allows you to actually replicate game speed, game situations, guys helping, the craziness of an NBA game, the speed of an NBA game, while also reading the defense and figuring out what's the best play to make. So if you're going to let Evan be the creator, go let Evan be the creator. And who cares what @JoeX34 from Parma on Twitter says when you lose a random Thursday night game to the Detroit Pistons or whoever, after random Twitter user Carlos Sanchez Escoves, the 34st double DEF, says the regular season. Like, who cares? Like, none of that matters as long as you figure out what this team can and can't do before the playoffs. And you and I are still in agreement that if this team's going to win a championship, it's not going to be with Evan playing like he has through the first 19 games, right? Correct. The current status of Evan Mobley is not good enough for the Cavs to win a championship. Darius Garland is old or not. They need Evan to be better. And they need to be more efficient. His 18-9 this year, Jason's coming on lower efficiency, and he can't make free throws. If he was making his free throws right now, he'd be a 21-point-per-game scorer. If he shot just what he shot last year, he'd be a 21-point-per-game scorer. This made me feel like a whole different conversation. But the truth of the matter is that the Cavs want to win a championship. As good as Donovan is, as good as Darius is, as good as Kenny as a coach is, as good as Jared Allen and DeAndre Hunter may be, they're not winning with Evan Mobley at this level. So you have to make an organizational decision. Do we want to see what Evan has and see if there's another level to his game that he can unlock over the next 20, 25 games before we have to start preparing ourselves for a playoff push? Or do we want to go back to what Evan did last year, say, we're happy with a second-team All-NBA caliber player because that's exactly what he was last year, and there is nothing wrong with that,
right?
And just put him back in that role. But this back and forth, this flip-flopping, Jason, I don't think it accomplishes either. And I think in the long run, it's actually hindering us figuring out what the ceiling of this Cavs team actually is.
I would tend to, although I'm not as confident, I would stick with what I've been saying and continue. I just don't know what the alternative is. What is more likely? What gives you, how's the best way to frame this? What's more likely? Evan can figure this out and can lead this team deeper than the second round, or you go back to the way that you played last year and you're counting on the health of Darius and Donovan not to break down at the most crucial point of the season, which they both have done in the past. Like you're just it's the definition of insanity to go back the other way and just say, okay, well, we're just going to go do what gave us success last year because it got you regular season success. It did not get you postseason success. And I have defended them at times and said there's a lot of injuries, had they been healthy. But this is part of their history. This is part of who they are. The injuries are part of who they are, particularly with Darius. Donovan has had calves the last 2 years of the postseason because of the heavy load that he has to carry. So you're trying to do the same thing and expecting a different outcome. I'm not sure. I would rather ride this out for at least another 20 games.
Yeah.
And see. I don't see what the downside is. If you lose 7 more games than you would have otherwise, so what?
Who cares?
It doesn't matter. And yeah, I mean, we're going to go on and we're going to holler about this doesn't look the same as last year, which I think is a good thing, actually. And people and Bull and Garrett and Jay are going to yell that Evan sucks and Evan isn't this and Evan isn't that and you guys are wrong. And maybe, but I've seen the alternative time and again. So I would like to forge ahead with this. And if we get to mid-January and this looks the same, then maybe we can have the conversation of, okay, well, we're going to have to play the insanity game, go back to the way it was, and hope that it just leads to a different outcome. Hopefully these guys can stay healthy for a 2-month stretch when you need them the most. And maybe you can get a different result. I actually think there's more risk in that.
No, it's insane. We can't spend all summer saying the regular season doesn't matter, Jason, and then get upset after a few regular season losses.
I totally agree.
And you're going to have to go through some bumps and some lumps. And I just think, to your point, the alternative of just going back to status quo. I mean, yeah, the East stinks, so maybe you could catch a break. And maybe it was the Cavs year last year, and injuries were the whole reason they got derailed. But I just, Darius already got hurt in a non-contact injury on that injured toe. Donovan's playing out of his freaking mind to start the season. Is that sustainable? The last 2 playoff runs, he suffered. I know his usage rate is lower. He's getting to the rim less in an attempt to preserve it. I get all the stuff. It sounds great on paper, Jason, but in reality, when the Cavs need to score late in these games, it's Donovan going balls to the wall, and those are the pressure minutes. Yeah, I'm just not giving up that Evan can't do some of the stuff that I think he wants to do. I don't think he'll ever be Kevin Durant. Let's be clear. He's not going to be Durant, but I do think he has more creation than he's shown. His handle isn't good enough to be the focal point every possession. But go back and look at, and I should have had this prepared, and I don't, but I'll put it in the description. Brett Usher, who does these highlight mashups, last year when Mobley was named second team All-NBA, put together a mashup of Evan scoring off the dribble. He has it in him. It's there. We've seen it in spurts. Yeah. He doesn't have to do it every possession. But the more he does it now and the better he gets at it now and at least learning he can. And you know what? I guess I'll end with this, Jason. Let's say they gave him 20 more games, right? I said, Evan, we're going to run the offense through you regardless who's there. And it's a disaster. And he just shows us he can't do it. Then guess what? In the playoffs, I'm not going to be screaming saying, hey, your offense needs to run through Evan because the two guards at least we'll know, right? And just like with Dylan Gabriel, 6 games wasn't enough to make a full determination, even though I think it really was. But that's besides the point. 6 games of Evan Mobley being the focal point of the offense isn't enough. I saw this breakdown, Jason. It's going to cover the screen, so you have to look closely here. Okay. On the left is the first 7 games. On the right is the next 11 games. It's the difference in Mobley's per game involvement percentage. It was 40% in the first 7, down to 31.5. His on-ball percentage, 21 to 16. His points are down. His assists are down. His potential assists are down. His rebounds are down. His turnovers down. His true shooting is up because he's shooting less creation. His usage rate down from 24 to 21%. His assist rate down from 18 to 16. Basically, everything's gone down since they took that creation away from him, right? That's fine. But 7 games just isn't enough of a sample size. And let's do this with Darius on the court. 2 things I want to mention. The spacing for the Cavs without Darius, without Strus, without Merrill, and Merrill's missed a bunch of games, has been absolute dog poop. Yeah. You know what's hard for a guy who's not a great ball handler to do? Beat extra guys when the spacing is worse. So I think the spacing will help Evan give him more space. But this is the thing that frustrates me the most, Jason. When Evan's offense isn't working, we're seeing lapses this year in his rebounding and his defense. And the 7 shot attempts against Toronto, I can't live with that. I also can't live with 5 rebounds in 30-plus. He is too big, too skilled, too talented, too coordinated, too athletic to have 5 rebounds. And there were games earlier in the season where I thought he was taking some weird angles to protect the rim. And I just thought last year, even though he's not Wemby, his basketball geometry was damn near flawless. He had a PhD in angles and how to just distract the shooter even when he wasn't in the best position. I feel like he's just taking some bad angles this year. And I've played enough basketball and I've been in enough shooting slumps to know when my shot's not falling, my defense fall. I don't rebound. Like I literally told my college coach, my scholarship does not include rebounding. If you want me to rebound, you got to pay me more. Like that wasn't part of my game. But like, my defense would slack when I wasn't making shots because it's demoralizing. You want to make shots.
Yeah.
Evan's way too good of a defender and way too impactful. And the Cavs need his rebounding way too much to allow that part of his game to slump off when his shot's not falling. I think to me, that's more frustrating than any of his offensive woes thus far.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I don't know. You mentioned KD. Nobody's asking him to be prime KD. Nobody's asking him to be prime LeBron or prime Giannis. The Cavs have such a good supporting cast around him. I mean, right now they have, in my mind, 2 really, really good number 2s in Donovan and Evan. Like both of those guys are extraordinary 2s on a championship team. But you need Evan to be the one. And he's got a lot of support in Donovan and Darius behind him. But he just had, if that's just, maybe I hope I'm wrong, man. I hope that they can win a championship. And if this doesn't work with Evan, that Donovan's the one that leads them there. I just think that we have overwhelming evidence. I mean, Don played on some really good Utah teams too. Never made out.
They were the 1 seed in the West one year.
Yeah. Never made out of the second round. Like, that's what I said on the show the other day. Have we not in Cleveland seen enough postseason basketball over the last 10 years? And I'll go back to LeBron's first stint here for old people old enough to remember, to know that the postseason is a completely different game than the regular season. So whatever works in the regular season, man, that don't mean it's going to work in the playoffs. And I just think that they just have to keep banging against that wall right now. It is too soon to abort anything. It's November. And it's frustrating and disappointing that this was a great opportunity for Evan to take advantage of with Darius being out. It didn't happen. And that's too bad. But that, to me, that doesn't mean that you stop now. Maybe we're wrong on that.
I mean, I'm not selling my stock. I'm certainly less high on it. I'm not hoarding it like I was to start the season. I'm not selling, but this is the first time I've had some serious concerns, Jason, that he may not develop into the player I thought he eventually could develop into. Yeah. And to your point earlier, if this is who Evan Mobley is, it's a damn good basketball player that 30 NBA teams would die to have on their roster.
Yes. Yes. Every team would take him. Every single team in the league would want Evan Mobley on their team, except maybe Oklahoma City. And even they would take him. They were hot after him.
They were rumored to really like him on draft day.
So at the draft, they were hot after him. Yeah, they really, really wanted him at the draft. That was more of a talent joke on how much talent there is on OKC.
Yeah.
My mouth was moving faster than my brain on that because OKC really loved Evan coming out of the draft.